Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I have all top 16 deck profiles from the LCS 15. Also, make sure to check out Luxury down below in the description, and shout out Nesh for getting me these deck profiles. I appreciate you and Luxury for hosting this tournament, and it ran super smooth, great tournament. Definitely had some like wacky matches. Like the top 16 was just wild. Like I had no other words for it. Like, I don't think anyone thought Infernoble was going to get second place. Prank Kids could, like, it was understandable for that deck to get first place, but it was still wild that it did. Like, it was just wild that the deck actually performed as well as it could have. But I don't have, like, a meta breakdown of, like, what entered the tournament and everything. That hasn't been released yet from Luxury. And, because, it's not that long after the tournament. It's, like, the next morning. But I did get the deck profiles, and I figured, I may as well go over them. I've already shown off like half of these on the channel through player interviews, so there's not going to be too much to go over on those. Also, I do plan on doing more player interviews with like the winner and Hash that got top 16. I do plan on going over more of those just because, me going over the list and the player that actually played the list and top with it, there's definitely a difference. They know exactly why they played certain cards over others, and I don't know why they played certain cards over others. So I feel like the player interview is like something great, especially for the channel. A lot of people have been liking it, but let's hop right into the top 16 deck profiles. So first of all, we have Prank Kids, and I haven't actually like gone through these deck profiles, but I did obviously like see this one, and I thought it was absolutely wild that the only hand trap they're playing is Imperm. They decided to play like Talons, Droplets, and Chalice over like playing like hand traps like Ash Blossom, just like they could have played like somewhat generic hand traps. They could have played like Ash, Valor if they wanted to, Bell, Nib maybe even, but they decided not to. Like no Phantasma, anything like that. Definitely interesting. I do extremely like the 3 poly. 3 other fusion spell, Pandenomium. I can't say words, but yeah, I think those are extremely good. Like you can push through a lot of boards. Like if you resolve Poly, you can push through boards. If you're going first, you can set up like a totally awesome plus double Raigeki, which is extremely good. I know a lot of people don't like these cards. Well, it's crazy because like they like 3 of this, so that way they can push through hand traps, but they don't like 3 Poly, because they say it's a dead card. But like I don't know. It's a little whack, but yeah, just like if you open up like 2 pranks and like a poly, like you're playing through so much stuff. Like you need extenders to be able to play through hand traps, especially in such a hand trap heavy format. And then also like these let you just like break so many boards, especially with like the field spell up. You can just chain block forever. But yeah, not too much to say on the list. I guess like the side deck, there's side deck and skill drain, which is like cool. Well, I mean it's not cool, but like it's interesting. Seeing like the skill drain there. We've seen prank kid players have like skill drain, TC booze, stuff like that. I wonder how many times they got hit with stuff like Gozen or Warlords throughout the tournament, because we've seen a lot of other people who top the tournament play those. Well, not a lot, but a few. Then the extra deck, they are playing Cerberus. Okay. That's definitely something a little bit different. I wonder what made them decide to play Cerberus. No idea. But, yeah, not too much more to say about this list. I'm just going to go on to the next one. So, going on to this list, we actually had this one on the channel. If you want to check it out, it is on the channel. Shout to Nicholas. They did top 16. So I'm not going to have like too much to say about this because I already went over the list a lot on the channel, but going over it, they thought about cutting 1 Seyfried for the 3rd chamber just because they always want to end on like Tidy and Seal. And I think another thing they wanted to cut was cutting the bells for cycle readers because they wanted to have like a better Drytron matchup. But I'm pretty sure that's all they said they wanted to cut. They did want to play 3 Seal, 100%, because like the deck's main like objective is Seal Tiding. Like if you get hand trapped and you end on Seal Tiding, that's 2 interruptions. Seal is a follow up Tidying as a follow-up. It's pretty insane if you get to do that, and like if they don't end the game, you're gonna have a lot of follow-up. And also, they were doing something different than a lot of people were. They were playing this deck more as I want to say more of like a control deck, more than like a straight combo deck. They said they only summoned Pisty like twice, to where a lot of people were trying to summon Pisty every game. That's why you don't see like a World Legacy Guard Dragon in the deck, which I also had people comment about on the video, and they were like, I'm surprised you didn't freak out about no World Legacy Guard Dragon, but it's completely understandable. I mean, Bell's in the format, dotKuro's in the format, World Legacy Guard Dragon heavily plays into those cards, and you don't really need it. I mean, it's not like we have LP anymore. Also, by the way, even when LP was a thing, I tried playing no World Legacy Guard Dragon. One of my lists didn't play him at all, but then I found it so wrong. Like, when LP was a thing, World Legacy Guard Dragon 100% should have been in your deck list, but now, with how the format is shaping and adjusting, and how, I want to say, like, unimpactful a Pisty effect is, you don't truly need it. It's not like a mandatory card, because there's something back, but like, what does that do, right? It's not like LP where you summon LP and like that 100% is doing something. It can for sure be decent. Like, you want to play this card. It can get you to like your OTKs. It can just like bring out Appaloosa. Also, I just realized I should have asked them why they didn't play Dill. It's probably because, like I said, they're trying to play this deck super slow, but I should have asked that question. I just realized it's not in the extra deck. Shout out Dill. They're also playing like Zombie Stein. They wanted to play this over I think it's number 68, the one that locks the graveyards out, just because this card is more generic. A lot of people were hating on this card because it has 1,000 defense, but it doesn't really matter. Like, if you get to negate a card, then it did its job. But going on to the next top 16 list, we have Virtual World. I also went over this list on the channel if you want to go check it out. But they are not playing 2-2, they're playing 3 Neon. They decided to play this build, also like the last build that we just saw with the Dragon Link. They decided to play this deck more of a control deck. So I don't know why the extra deck's so like weird right here. But they didn't want to play Zolkin. They decided no Zolkin. They are very okay with just ending on like Shenshen, Chuchi, Pass. They feel like they don't need to go for anything else, which is definitely a little bit interesting, since it somewhat feels like their extra deck is a little bit whack. Definitely a little bit whack. I feel like the Zolkin stuff, like for me, when I playtesting the deck, I felt like the Zolkin stuff was pretty good. But again, like, they tested the deck a lot. They said they felt like they didn't need it. Fair enough. For sure interesting. Especially because like the Zolkin build can also end on like a Shenshin Chuchi Pass, but they wanted extra utility stuff like the Cloud Castle, the Fortune Tune, the Downer. Actually, they said they think about cutting this, but they also wanted like the rank 9s and stuff. And like the Zolkin package does take up a decent amount of extra X space, because you need Zolkin, Crystal Wing, Mud Dragon, Dragoon, and Caliga. I mean, you could cut like Dragoon, but just having like the option to go for that versus like certain matchups is really insane. And then I guess that's really all for the list. Hopping on to the next one, we have Tri-Brigade. Have not gone over this list on the channel, but looking at it, they are only playing 2 kit, 2 Nerval, which, honestly, I can somewhat get behind this. I definitely have tested out the 2 ratios, even tried out like the 1 ratios, but then you just have like no grind. You gotta play at least 2. But it's definitely interesting that they're deciding to play like the 2 ofs, while also playing Desires. I feel like that is definitely risky, but let's see what they cut for it. So they played like 3 Veiler, 3 Ash, 3 Gamma, 3 Imperm. Definitely, like in Tri-Brigade, like the most standard hand traps. They aren't playing the 1 of dotKuro in the main deck, which I have thought about cutting from my list, even though it is searchable with Omen for like a turn 1 play. It's just, it's so bad to like draw, because so many matchups, dotKuro is just so unimpactful. So like, while it is like really good if you search it, usually you're already winning those games because you'll end with like an Appaloosa with 3 and a Revolt, which is already very good. Versus like certain matchups like Sky Striker, though, you would want the dotKuro just because, Appaloosa isn't like too crazy in that matchup, and a dotKuro will like always be a nice like trade. Then they have Cosmics, Droplet, 1 Talent. So they play 1 Talent, 1 Droplet. Foolish, another starter. Only 2 Revolt. So playing a lot of 2-ofs. But I feel like playing multiple Revolt is good. Like, you kind of want to open this card. I guess with them playing like less Tri-Brigades, it could just be like not as live of a card as often. And they aren't playing something like Prosperity, so they won't start the game as often because, Desires only lets you see 2 cards, while Prosperity lets you see 6 cards. So Prosperity does like let you start more often. But going on to the side deck, we have 2 Talents, a Lancia, 3 Droll, 2 dotKuro, 3 Contact Seat. This is it. Contact Seat is insane. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've talked to like over half the people that have topped the tournament. And I don't think a single one of them have been on Contact C yet, to be honest. I'm pretty sure none of them have. But I feel like, so like against Tri-Brigade, obviously this card's insane. Like if you drop this card, like they don't have an out to it. A lot of people have been arguing, saying that like, oh, well they can out it. But it's like so hard. Like they have to have like a correct, because like what you do is like you normal summon Kit, or like they normal summon out Kit. It's a super standard, Fractal Dump, normal summon Kit, effect banish 2, summon like Bear Bloom or Blossom, and then you just slap Contact C to the zone that the Bear Bloom or Blossom points to, and then they just can't out it. Some people mess up and don't put this in the zone that it points to, and because of that, they can go ahead and like Kuraz Extender and go for like Omen and banish this, or like double Dragon Lords and just remove this to bounce something. But personally, I feel like Contact C is very strong, and also some matchups that it's also very strong against is Prank Kids, which me and the people I was theorizing with, we figured that Prank Kids was going to be becoming more and more popular, as it is a very consistent deck, and with any of the poly spells and 2 Prank Kids, you can push through a lot. And then also, just like this deck, it can play a lot of hand traps. I was actually, I'm considering switching from Tri-Brigade to Prank Kids, just because I feel like that deck can push through more than this deck, crazy enough, like the deck that like gets FTK'd by Ashe sometimes. It's like, I don't know, like this deck can get FTK'd by Ashe, that deck can get FTK'd by Ashe, but the thing is that deck can push through way more. I don't know, like, I've also am currently trying out the Zoo build of Tri-Brigade, as I think that's pretty strong, like, from, like, versus, like, hand traps, going second. But, I don't know, I really like this card, I really do. And they side deck the 3rd Revolt. I guess that's like when they go first, they put this in, I'm assuming. Extra deck. They are playing the Sky Cavalry, Downerd, and Zeus package. I wonder why they decided to play like this over like the Mannequin Cat stuff. The Mannequin Cat stuff is really cool. Like really cool. I think that's definitely better than the Sky Cavalry stuff. I think that's just like the better Link 2 by far, 100%. But going on to the next list, we are going to see a Salad deck list. This is definitely interesting. This is another deck list I have not gone over yet. It's organized so everywhere. But, looking at the hand traps, 3 Ashe, 3 Bell, 3 Imperm, 2 Veiler, and a Droll. A lot of people will see these ratios and be like, oh, well, they should have just played 3 Droll or 3 Veiler. But the thing is, playing all 3 ofs does not always make sense. It may, like, I very much dislike it. Like, I shared one of my lists not long ago, and in the side deck, I was playing, like, 1 Nib, 1 dotKuro. Like, I was playing, like, 4 or 5 1-ofs, and people were just like, Grinder, what are you doing? This is not how you build a side deck. But that is exactly how you build a side deck. Because let's say I have 3 nibs in my side deck, but I'm only ever side decking in 1 because that's how my side deck like strategy works, my side deck patterns. Why would I play 3? It doesn't make sense. Very, very, very rarely will you ever see side decks be playing 3 of every card. Well, actually, it's not like too uncommon. A lot of people don't know how to do the correct side deck patterns. In some decks, it's actually correct to just max out on 3 of stuff. But for most decks, most of the time, it makes a lot of sense for you to not be playing all 3 ofs. So it's very okay when you see like 1 of Droll in the main deck, because you need to build your main deck and your side deck together. It's not build your main deck and then build your side deck. You have to build them together 100%. So I don't know their side deck patterns, but I'm assuming that's why I did it. It was a pretty good player that did top with this list, the Unforgiven. Sadly, I don't think I got to show them off on the channel throughout the weekend. I was going to try to. I think I was trying to show off like their top 16 match, but yeah, I just ended up not doing it. Pretty sure their top 16 match was a blowout or something like that. I don't remember, but unfortunate. But congrats on the top. But looking, a lot of 3-0s, like a lot of the starters. 3 will. A lot of people have cut down to 1 of this, but it's an excellent extender. If you draw it, you can go ahead and summon the almighty Appaloosa, and this card is insane. You summon Appaloosa and have like, some hand traps with it, like a rage or something. Or if you can like do like the full setup and have like Woof Appaloosa, like there's no way you're losing. Like the whole point of this deck, it hasn't changed from like 2 years ago. It is strictly set up as much as you can turn 1, survive on their turn, and then your next turn, like, you have so much to play with that it's very hard for you to lose. I'm assuming like that's what they were doing with this list, because that's like, Salad's like goal. But they are playing 2C and 3 Spinny. You see him playing a lot of like the level 3 stuff. So, because like Shot, Mirage, Dalio. And like 1 of each of the traps, side decking more traps, Order, Contact C, this card's pretty good. Side decking the Gammas, when you're going second, you just put this card in, and it is a very, very, very good hand trap versus everything. Usually it's a high impact hand trap, which I really, really like. It's high impact versus a lot of different matchups instead of low impact versus a lot of different matchups, which is usually what something like Ash Blossom is. Except versus like, Prank Kids or like Tri-Brigade. But yeah, not too much more to go over about the list. They're just playing like 1 splash. They're not playing like the 2 ofs or anything like that. They are playing the Heat Leos. But going on to the next list, we have... Oh, they also weren't on Lingeribo. I saw that like right as I clicked off. But looking at the Sky Striker list, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 hand traps in the main deck. Decent amount of hand traps. Playing the Foolish Goods package and the Desires. There's not too much that's like crazy here. They are playing 1 Rose, which actually did come up in one of the matches that I featured them on. And actually, I knew they were on 1 Rose or sided out a Rose or something because of how they did the play. If you go and watch that, I said that. I was like, they're only on 1 Rose. I can tell by how they're playing this. But it's good to know that like I'm right about it and I'm not like dumb. But like I like having like the validation there. But this was the only striker list that actually topped the tournament. You see like side deck, Meisters. Very good versus like Prank Kids. You need to be able to stop them. That deck is pretty good versus this deck. Shared Ride, DDG. Both these cards are good like when you go first. Especially DDG. This card's like a mini floodgate. It's like very good in your deck. Then they are only playing 2 Hayate. And they are still on like the Celine package while also playing like Nightmare Phoenix and Ingrisum. Nothing too much to say about this. Hopping on to the next top 16 list, we have a Tri-Brigade Zoodiac. Now, I really like Tri-Brigade Zoo. I do think the list will probably end up becoming way more standard than the pure build. but it's only like a matter of time. Opening, I was supposed to say opening hands. Looking at the hand traps, we see 3 Valor, 3 Gamma, 3 Imperm. You know, it's 9 hand traps there in the main deck, and also playing like 3 Chalice. They do play 3 Kit, 3 Caress, 3 Fractal, 3 Nerval, and they are playing the 3 Zoos. Deciding to play like a Ram over the second Thoroughblade. Also plays the Rescue Cat, which I've also been seeing more of this, where they play like the Rescue Cat and the Zoo stuff. Shout out Bill Wee. And I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Especially, like, it feels like you're playing like a lot of engine. And I feel like you have to kind of cut down on it just a little bit to be able to play more hand traps, or you kind of just auto lose going second to like the mirror match. It becomes very hard. Obviously you can like Chalice the Appaloosa, but then like, or like try to like hand trap them, but you know, odds are they're still going to be able to set something up. I guess if you have like a hand trap and a Chalice, it's very good, but then, you know, you're starting to get to like lower chances of that happening. I don't know. My build definitely looks a little bit different than this. Not like too much different. Like, I don't play this card, but my list definitely looks a little bit different. But, you know, I like the Zoo stuff in the deck. And then they have 3 Cycle Reader, 1 Barrier Statue, 1 Pank, 3 Droll, 3 Phantasme, Harpies, and Twin. Actually, like, before we go over the side deck more, I do want to test out the Zoo stuff more, though. I did say I was going to release my list soon. I could release my pure list if you want that. But I kind of want to wait. To be fair, control decks like this usually change up a lot throughout a format. Like, consistently are changing. So, I kind of don't want to show it off. But, you know, if you, the people watching, really want me to show off the pure list, I will show off my pure list. I can do that. But my Zoo list, I don't want to show off right now. But they do play like the Cycle Reader, and they are playing the Samori. We can see that because, you know, they play in the Barrier Statue. I wonder how the Phantasmes did throughout the tournament. This card is this card's pretty good. Definitely pretty good. Even with like the Zoo stuff, it makes it even better because you can like Phantasme and then use this as protection for the Zoo stuff, and it can like help you break boards. And obviously like drawing like going second cards. Then, you know, they're playing like the Xandered Stew lineup. Did I say the Xandered Zoo lineup? I think I just messed up my words, like saying the wrong letters at the first of the like names. Fair enough. But yeah, the some work stuff is cool. But hopping on to the next list, we are seeing a Prank Kid deck profile. You know, like 3 Fusion Spell, 3 Poly, 2 Pranks. You know, the Desires. This card's pretty good. You know, drawing the more pranks for the Poly stuff. Drawing the hand traps. You can draw into like Bell versus certain matchups and it'd be good on your own turn. Like if you're going second or like Imperm. I wonder how these did throughout the tournament for him. I'm assuming very well. These cards are extremely good. Yeah, not 9 hand traps. 12 hand traps. Not bad. Deciding to play Bell. Then has like Meisters in the side deck, Gammas. You know, they actually have a pretty good list for like the mirror match with like 3 Ash, 3 Skull, 3 Gamma, 3 Bell. I feel like they would definitely have a good mirror match. Not playing something like Contact C, having a little bit more like generic stuff. You know, I think they probably wanted to also play this for like Virtual World. And then Twins, Talons. Yeah, you can hit them with the 4-card combo, the normal summon, link off, go Meowly, hand trap, you Talons, peep the hand, Poly, GG, handshake. They are playing also to help play around the Contact C, or if you get hit with Contact C, you know, you can just go ahead, like, summon this out, and then just pass turn. It's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad because this lets you add an Earth with 15 or less defense, and this happens to have 15 defense exactly. Too bad Bell has a little too much defense there. Nothing too crazy there. So going on to the top 8 lists, We have 3 Ash, 3 Diviner, 3 Alpha. No, nothing too crazy. Actually, I showed this list off on the channel now that I'm looking at it more. So if you want to go check that out, this is on the channel. You can go check that out. They do play only 2 Orange Light. I feel like they did not need 3. They wanted to keep the deck somewhat slim. You know, they are playing 41. They didn't want to like keep upping the number. They do only play 6 hand traps in it. Well, like 6 like real hand traps, and like Orange Light is like semi hand trap because you know you need other stuff to like validate it as a hand trap. But the Red Ice Fusion package, this stuff was really good for him, they said, which was very, 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 very expected. Honestly, I expected every single Drytron player that entered this tournament to be playing the Dragoon package just because of how strong it is versus a lot of these, like not combo decks, but like Tri-Brigade, Prank Kids, a lot of stuff like that, where like they double, even maybe like triple hand trap you, and you just slap Dragoon on board and have follow-ups, and like now you just cannot lose right there. Like it's hard to like get OTK'd through a Dragoon. You can just like kind of hold it, and it's very, very, very solid. They like mini hand loop themselves by like hand trapping you, and then you end with a negate. Then next turn you have everything all over again because these cards are like mini dragon rulers. Definitely interesting that they decided not to play like the 3 Gamma. They did say that they wanted to keep the package down, which somewhat fair because you know they have like Emergency, Nova, Foolish to like directly go search for these, and then also Prosperity. You know, if you banish 6 off of this, most likely you are going, well, not most likely, but like odds are, I feel like you're gonna either see like an Emergency, Nova, Foolish, or like whichever one you're trying to like directly search for in that scenario. Because like if you draw 5 cards in your opening hand, and none of those are like a Gamma, or let's just go with like Alpha here, none of those are an Alpha or a way to Alpha, but you do have Prosperity, then you can activate this, and you have, you know, 10 cards, including the Alpha itself, to get to Alpha. So you know you have a decent amount of cards as long as you like banish 6 to like try to hit one of these. And then another thing is with the extra deck, they did decide to play Sword and not Access Code. Wait. Okay, yeah. I was thinking about someone else. I was like, wait, is this list right? But yeah. They did decide to play Sword. They decided to not play Elder. Seen a lot of people either cutting an Elder or a Herald of the Arclight just to have more extra deck room for more utility. Then going on to the next top 8 list, we have another Drytron player, and they are playing 42 cards, but they are playing the pre-prep package with like, you know, the Perfection and the Dawn. And then I want to look at the extra decks. So they are playing like the Access Code. They are playing the full, like, you know, 3 to dump off a Diviner. Hand traps, they're playing 2 Orange Light, 1 Ava. No hand traps in the main deck. See, I feel so bad to do this because, like, I feel like if you do this, like, you can top a tournament with this kind of list, but I feel like it's very hard to win. Because if you play versus a combo matchup and you lose the dice roll, game 1, L. Game 2 and 3, you know, you'll like versus Drytron, you know, you'll have like these, and like you can, they probably don't side this in to try to draw it just because like, maybe, I don't think they do though, but you know, you have these hand traps which are very good hand traps. Don't get me wrong, but you know, you can play through them like somewhat. If you have like an Orange Light to stop them, you play through it. They're playing like the pre-prep stuff. They can just like, you know, kind of summon this out like after you drop draw even. I don't know. I feel like playing some hand traps in the main deck is correct, and then you can side deck in a little bit more, so that way like post side deck game 2 and game 3 if you do just like auto lose game 1, because obviously like the last Drytron list we looked at, they were playing 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 2 Orange Light. There's not a lot of high impact hand traps because like Orange Light, you know, it's very hard for that to be live. Let's just count the 6 hand traps to 3 Imperm, 3 Ash. 90% of the time I would say the mirror match is playing through one of those, just because, like, they're rather low impact. So but I feel like having some low impact hand traps, and then also siding in stuff like this, as long as you draw, like, an Ash, an Imperm, like any combination of those, I feel like you'll be decent, at least. Most of the time you'll be stopping them. They might still end on something like a Dragoon, but your deck can deal with Dragoon. Then hopping on to the next list, another Drytron player, a lot of Drytron in top 8. They are playing the 3 Gamma. They are also playing the Dragoon package, 3 Orange Light. No other like hand traps. They're playing talents. They are playing the 1 field spell, Draconids. Nothing too crazy on the main deck. They are side decking the Natasha and the 1 Lancia. Searchable. So like side decking like one of them is like somewhat fair enough. I feel like you don't really need Natasha against a lot of matchups. If you can get to Natasha, usually you're already like playing enough. And they are playing the 3 dumps. Extra deck, yeah, nothing crazy here. Then going on to the next list. Oh, this is the list that I put on the channel with the player interview. It was the first one I did, like of the LCS, and I'm so mad about it. Like, so mad, because I paid them to do this interview too. I paid them for the interview and everything. And like the watch time on the video is horrible because you can't hear him. I'm literally talking to a ghost, and I don't know. Like my the Streamlabs was like, yeah, you're picking up voice, you're picking up volume. You can even ask the dude. I literally checked beforehand. I was like, all right, can you talk real quick? All right, bet, yeah, it's working. All right, yeah, we can hop into this. And then it didn't work. Like, what? Like, they had some pretty good explanations. I felt like I could have, shown that off a little bit. But the stuff they were talking about is they thought about cutting the 2 Phantasmes for 2 Imperm, just because first of all, they decided to not play Gamma or Imperm. They didn't want anything to conflict with Phantasme. But they wanted to cut the Phantasmes. They were thinking about it, to play 2 Imperm, so that way they can have, like, a better matchup versus, like, Drytron and stuff, because, you need hand traps, and you need hand traps for the Anaconda. So they were thinking about doing that. Also, they were playing 2 Kuraz. They didn't want to draw this card. They just wanted to like search it if they did get hand trapped. Monster Reborn. They were talking about like, you can normal summon Kappa, get it with like Valor, Imperm, Link for Amirage, and then Reborn it back and just combo. Another thing is that you can like Reborn, just use this as an extender, because you Fractal, you dump, you summon, you get hit with a hand trap. And then you can like Reborn summon back if you want to, and like try to keep going there. I don't know how I feel about this. It's very iffy, very iffy. I guess like going second, so you can kind of snatch up one of their monsters from their graveyard. And then Desires over Prosperity. They decided to play this because like the Tri-Brigade Blossom and Bear Bloom, while they do draw, they do also put back. So you're not really like plussing off of those cards. Well, not directly plussing off of them. They wanted like Desires to like directly just net some cards. And then the unique thing in like the side deck is that they were playing the Zoodiacs. They wanted these cards going second. And they decided to play 2 because let's say they hand trapped their opponent, and their opponent just stopped, and they don't really need to go for Zoo, so they can just summon Rat, dump Thoroughblade, and do like the standard Zoo combo. Standard Tri-Brigade Zoo combo. Then they are playing Asa in the extra deck, which is decent versus the Contact C. It's a little bit weird, but they also were using it for like the mirror match. Where like they have Amirage, well, not just the mirror match, but like it's summon Amirage, you extend it with Kuraz if you get like hand trapped, then you just summon Asa and you pass, and then if this perishes, you can go search out from the deck to the hand. Nothing too much more to say about that. Shout out to them for doing the deck profile with me. Sorry that the volume didn't really work. My apologies. Hopping on to the top 4 list, we have Dragon Link. They are playing 9 normal summon starters. They are playing Desires, a little bit weird. They've been on this pretty much like all format now. even like before the format started. Quick Launch, Droplet, Chalice, Gamma, Ash. So they're definitely playing, 12 going second cards here. Nothing too crazy about the main deck besides, like the fact that, they're playing like 1 level 4, but you really don't want to draw it. They could Desires banish it, which could be like very unfortunate. But not too much to say about this main deck list besides the fact that it's like 50 cards, which is definitely a little bit different for sure. Side deck, Goes and Match. This card was going in for them throughout the weekend. Absolutely insane card. Nightmare Phoenix, Dill, multiple Link 4s. They are playing the Dark Armed, which they're just wild. Absolutely wild. I wonder how many times they actually summon this card throughout the weekend. I don't think many. Like, I'd be kind of surprised if they summon this card a lot throughout the tournament, to be honest. But, yeah, not much more to say about this. Very, very, very cool to see Dragon Link topping, though. I know a lot of people very much dislike this deck, but I think the deck is very fair now. I think before it was not fair. Now it is fair. It's another combo deck. You definitely can't just like let them go uninterrupted and just like win. Like, you need to hand trap them or have like a pretty good hand with a lot of extenders. But that's how it is for any combo deck. Like, literally any combo deck is like that. Drytron. Just like, I can't even like think of other combo decks off the top of my head. Like, Infernoble. Stuff like that. You need hand traps. Going on to the next list, Adagnister. Either I did or I'm about to post this deck profile with the player interview on the channel. I don't know if I'm uploading this, then the player interview, or the other way around. I'm not sure yet. Probably will do it. I don't know. I'll find out. But also, like, let's go over like key things in their deck. They are playing Terraforming to go grab Island because a lot of people hand trap the Dark Infant. They are playing Psalm Strike. They decided to play a little bit more of a control build than to play more hand traps. Which is why they didn't play like hand traps over like Talents and Strike, like Bell and Valor. They wanted an Out to Mystic Mine, and they wanted this over something like Cosmic or Twin. Side deck, a lot of back row removal. They wanted to cut Reboot for the third Judgment. And then extra deck is not like too crazy. They did say that the Light Dragon that a lot of people were cutting, you just can't do that. You can't do that because you need to go I Michu, grab Pikachu, summon, go grab Island, and then link Dark Infant to grab Island. The reason for that is because if you just summon effect and you go grab like Reborn and then you go Dark Infant, and that's where a lot of people are like taught to hand trap, then you can't really play. So they decided to play that to like help play safe. And then hopping on to the second place list, we have a list that a lot of people have been wanting to see. I also have the player interview with this coming up too. Nothing like too out of the ordinary, I guess, in the main deck. I guess like the fact that they're playing like only 4 going second cards. I did ask them about this. Also, a lot of people were hating and saying that like, oh, they probably won like 12 out of 12 dice rolls. But they actually only won 5 out of 12, so they won less than half their dice rolls. While only playing 4 going second cards in the main deck. And then they play Exchange over Drag Down. I know people were talking about this. Drag Down's really, really bad. I literally in the player interview, I was like, yeah, I already know why you're not playing it. Like, the card's horrible compared to Exchange. Because if you Drag Down, they just draw into another hand trap. And like you'd be like, oh, but the odds of that are low. But like, let's say they only open 1 hand trap and you Drag Down, then they're going to have a stack of hand traps in their deck. Like, the odds of them drawing a hand trap isn't, like, too low. It's just not, like, impossible. You don't want them doing that. And also, it's not Talents because you gotta be able to out-imperm, because this card's very good versus this deck. They can't, like, Aqua Dolphin rip it out of hand, or, like, truly play around it. Like, they can set up Herald and then go for this, but it's kind of hard. It's not, like, very easy to do. Also, a lot of, like, if you just, like, imperm Needle, it's definitely very strong. But you can hold it for this. If you imperm this, then they do get to, like, pass turn and, like, tag out in the Roland. So you definitely want to, like, watch out for that if your hand's, like, super bad and you can't, like, outgrind their engine. then you might want to just like hold it for this. But that is a way for you to get punished by like them summoning one of these out and then going for like an Arclight. So you just want, it depends on like what they have, what on you have, if, like what you need to hand trap. Not too much to say about this list. Shout out to him for topping with this. Prince did very well with the deck that not a lot of people would have ever topped this tournament. But going on to the first place list, we have Prank Kids, and they are playing 11 hand traps in the main. Also, I find it so weird that they're playing dotKuro, because I find this card so low impact in my duels, but they're main decking it. Like, when it's not searchable, like, wild. Absolutely wild. Also, I'll be having a player interview with them coming up sometime today, most likely. And they are maxing out, Poly, only 2 of the fusion spells. They do play Thunder Dragon Fusion with, like, the Link Spider, Anaconda, and they're playing the Underworld. Okay, so they're really cutting down on the pranks in the extra deck. Okay. Definitely interesting. Another thing is that, like, I've been hating on Blizzard a lot. The more and more I think about it, the more and more it does make sense for this deck, though. I guess like I was just hating on this card because like a lot of people were playing this card and stuff like Sky Striker, other stuff like that. And I guess in this deck it somewhat makes sense because, if you just hit the twin and they don't get to twin your fusion spell, then, you're pretty good. Twin after that, like a turn later, really doesn't matter because you've already won. Because you get to hit them with like the double Regeki combo. Then, nothing else too crazy about their main deck. Judgments, draw. I can't wait to talk to them about their list. I want to ask them like 17 questions. Like, I am very curious about this list. As you can kind of tell by like the way I'm talking about it. 2 Imperm, 2 Crow, 1 Belt, 3 Veiler, 3 Ash. I'm very, very curious on why they're playing like these hand traps, why they're playing these hand traps. Just like certain stuff like in the side deck, extra deck. Thunder Dragon Fusion, how did that perform? But again, that is going to be it for the video. If you want to check out me doing player interviews with the players, then you can go ahead and check out my channel. Make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 22K by the end of the month. I am on this grind, and you are about to see it. I'm going to pump out videos, a whole bunch of different videos, new series, new type of videos. High Rated is still going to be here. Shout out to High Rated. You are my baby. And with all that being said, again, make sure to check out Luxury. Leave a link. I am going to leave a link down below in the description. Again, shout out to Nesh for giving me these deck profiles. He also gave me all the replays. I am not going to post them as I only go over like, 1 top 16, 1 top 8, 1 top 4 of the finals. I don't really go over them after that. Just because, a few days after the tournament, the replays don't really matter anymore. But again, shout out to him just for giving it to me. I do appreciate you. And shout out to Luxury for hosting this great tournament. There will probably be another LCS for Yu-Gi-Oh! In roughly a month. They try to do it like once a month, it seems like. So again, go check out their Facebook page. Like join the groups. That way, like when it comes, you'll see like a little update for it. And I'll probably talk about it on the channel like a few days before it goes up. Just as like a little reminder. Because I'll be like, oh, who's going to win the LCS, a few days before. But with all that being said, the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.